This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for July 11th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Feel Good Friday edition of the podcast. As always, we got big shows on Friday, and it is 7-Eleven. And I remember when I used to live in the city, right up at the top of our street was 7-Eleven. Do they still give out free Slurpees on 7-Eleven? Let me know. I would maybe, just maybe, seems like it's going to be a good day for a Slurpee. But happy 7-Eleven day. But it is a Feel Good Friday. And as you know, we spend Fridays with AI. We don't know when AI is going to show up, so stay tuned for that. No Phillies game last night. They are back in action. 3 more games before the All-Star break against the Padres out in San Diego. Last late night of this West Coast swing. They play at 7 tomorrow and then 4 on Sunday. And did I tell you this week I hate West Coast baseball? But the pitching lines up perfectly for the Phillies. You got Ranger, Zach, and then Christopher Sanchez on Sunday. Got to take 2 or 3 of these games heading into the All-Star break. It'd be great. And then all the focus right now is on what will Dombrowski do? We're about, 20 days from the trade deadline or so. Who knows? Who knows? But Phillies Padres tonight out in San Diego. Sixers last night, no VJ because of the thumb sprain. Got crushed by San Antonio. I did see that they will reevaluate VJ and possibly he could play tomorrow. I don't know. But like I said, as soon as I got hype, and this is just another example of Lucy saying, not so fast, my friend. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, they're going to take it easy with him and not push anything for Summer League. But, man, it's frustrating. It seems like for the past 10 years, probably longer because Joe came in 2013, the past 12 years, there's been something. There's always something that tamps down that expectations and hopes. So we'll see. This weekend, the Union are in action against the Red Bulls down in Subaru Park. This will be their MLS matchup. So they're looking to get off the schneid, losing 2 straight. And then, of course, we're less than 2 weeks away from Eagles training camp. They get their rings with it next Friday. So looking forward to that. But it's almost Eagle seasons, people. It's almost Eagle season. And we got a lot planned for Eagle season. I've been telling you about the pregame show. Those plans are coming along nicely. As soon as I have more details, I'll get them out to you. But we'll start doing the season preview here coming up in just a few weeks. So hard to believe. It just seems like yesterday we were celebrating the Super Bowl. But that does take us to yesterday's trivia question. I asked you what Phillies participated in the MLB Home Run Derby all time. That would be Jim Thome, Bobby Abreu, Ryan Howard 3 times, who won it in 2006, Chase Utley, Rhys Hoskins, Kyle Schwarber, and Alec Boehm. And by the way, I didn't forget about Bobby. More on him later. But thank you to everybody who reached out. I have some sharp eagle-eye viewers or listeners in the Discord channel who got this immediately, minus the fact that Reese did it, or Ryan did it 3 times. So you want to come over, have some good Philly sports talk chat, go to the Discord channel. It's the first link in the description. Always going back and forth, especially during games, talking and going, just having some fun, doing what Philly fans do. So come over. It's the first link in the description, and let's talk some Philly sports. Packing up the whole crew for a week down the shore? Don't waste your first day dragging bags and beach chairs. Let Beach Caddy do the work. With bellhop service for move-ins and move-outs, plus beach cart rentals in Ocean City, Avalon, Sea Isle, Stone Harbor, and Wildwood, they've got your back from driveway to dune. Stress less, relax more. Book now at beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jimbo for 10% off your bellhop or cart rental services. Beach Caddy, because vacation should start when you get there. Best beach cards on the Jersey Shore. Book now at beachcaddy.app. Use the promo code Jimbo for 10% off your order and let Beach Caddy take the stress out of your vacation. All right, July 11th. I mentioned Bobby Abreu, but July 11th was a great day for Phillies All-Stars. And we got to run the gamut here. So let's start with 1944. On this day in 1994, the All-Star game was played. It was during World War II. It was played out at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh. So you definitely had some diluted rosters for this, as a lot of Major League players were over performing their Armed Forces duty. In this All-Star game, the National League won 7-1. Money was divided. So all the receipts from the ticket sales were given to service members so they could have baseball equipment for something to do while they were actually playing over there. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing. You know, I support the military whenever I can. So I thought mentioning that was cool, especially during World War II. The Phillies' lone rep this year was Ken Raffensberger, and he pitched 2 scoreless innings, struck out 2, and got the win. He was the first Philly to ever get credited with a win in the All-Star game, and this was Ken's only All-Star appearance in 1944. Fast forward to 1967, the All-Star game was played in Anaheim. The Phillies were represented by Dick Allen and Chris Short. The National League won a close one, 2-1 in 15 innings. Bonus baseball. You got to love it. All 3 runs were scored on solo homers, including Dick Allen. Tony Perez hit the other one for the National League, and Brooks Robinson hit the solo shot and accounted for the American League's only run. Ironically enough, all 3 of them played third base in this game. So it was a good day for third baseman in the All-Star game. Chris Short did pitch 2 scoreless innings for the National League as well, but it was Dick Allen providing the first run for the National League in this game. Then Tony Perez hit the game winner in the 15th inning. And then we got to go all the way back to all the way up to 1995. Major League Baseball All-Star game was played in Arlington, Texas. Phillies were well represented, believe it or not. Lenny Dykstra, Tyler Green, Heathcliff Slocumb, Darren Dalton, and Mickey Morandini were all All-Stars in 1995. Lenny walked. Darren Dalton did not have any at-bats, but did catch a couple innings. Mickey Morandini went 0 for 1, but the story of the game was the pitching. Tyler Green went 1 scoreless inning with a strikeout. Heathcliff Slocumb, the Phillies closer back then, came in and pitched 1 scoreless inning over the course of 2 separate innings, struck out 2, and was credited with the win. Second Philly pitcher to be, or I should take that back, was not the second one we've talked about today that get credit with the win. In this All-Star game in 1995, much like 1967, all the runs came on home runs. The National League had 3 solo homers. Norristown's Mike Piazza hit 1, Jeff Conine and Craig Biggio. Frank Thomas hit a 2-run shot for the American League, but it was the National League winning 3-2. Heathcliff Slocumb gets credit for the win. And then I told you we talk about Bobby, one of the most polarizing players in Phillies history. People either love him or hate him. I don't think there's any in between. I happen to be more on the love side. I know there are a lot of you out there listening that call him lazy, think he's overrated, but he was a consistent contributor for years. But that's not what this is about. On this day in 2005, Bobby Abreu won the Home Run Derby in dominant fashion. At the time, he hit a record 41 homers. Second place was Pudge Rodriguez with 20. So that just goes to show you how much Bobby dominated. And he was representing his home country. And this was in honor of the first ever World Baseball Classic. So Bobby Abreu winning the Home Run Derby on this day in 2005. That does lead us to today's trivia question. We've done an all-star theme this week with our trivia. We talked about Ken Raffensberger. We talked about Heathcliff Slocumb. Who is the only other pitcher to get credited with a win in the All-Star game for the Phillies? Hit me up on the Discord channel, the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. And while you're at it, get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest? Want to talk Phils, Padres? Want to talk Lucy and the Sixers? Pulling that football away from us. All of that is fair game. if you want to even talk Eagles training camp, that is fine as well. But what is the Ken Raffensberger, Heathcliff Slocumb, and who else are the only pitchers in Phillies history to get credited with a win in the All-Star game?
It's time for Fridays with AI, where we ask AI to rewrite Philly sports history. Every Friday, only on This Day in Philly Sports History.
That's right. It's Friday, and it's time for Fridays with AI, brought to you, as always, by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Check out their wide selection of tees and Philly sports apparel. I've told you about the slides, the shoes, and if you want, here's the Tush Push shirt. The Tush Push is alive and well. Go to Philly Goat, get your Tush Push shirt in honor of the Tush Push being there. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, so all the talk has been the Phillies need a bat, the Phillies need a bullpen piece, the Phillies need both. Who's untouchable? Who's touchable? That sounded weird. Who's untouchable? Who's able to get traded? And I thought, why not ask AI to predict who the Phillies will acquire at the trade deadline and then simulate the rest of the season with those trade pieces. So Phillies do make moves. They make two of them. And okay, so the first move they make is Dennis Santana from the Pirates. They trade Gabriel Racones Jr. and John Henriksen for Dennis Santana. Good, solid bullpen piece from the Pirates, who are obviously going to be selling. Santana does have one more year of club control, so he would be here for next year. He's arbitration eligible, so we'd have to see how that plays out. And then they make another move for a bat, Willie Castro from the Twins for Gabriel Cotto and Carlos De La Cruz, two lower prospects. Not bad. You're saving the big guys, which seems to be what Dombrowski wants to do. You're addressing needs. But to me personally, this gives me a lot of vibes. I think Santana should be good, but Castro might provide a spark too. But this gives me vibes of what Dombrowski has done the past couple of years. So that's essentially what AI is suggesting he's going to do. No big splashy moves. But what does AI think that this is going to mean for the rest of the season? The Phillies finish out the season 94-68. They go 40-22 down the stretch after the trade deadline. They win the division by 2 games over the Mets, and AI predicts a battle back and forth between the Mets, much like we've seen all season. They don't think the Mets, they think they'll get it put together. They'll make some moves themselves. But what does Castro do for the Phillies? Well, Willie Castro actually does provide a spark. He gets some clutch hits when the bats go cold and helps keep which is the MO of this team. Everybody goes cold at the same time. Everybody gets hot at the same time. But Castro sort of keeps it more even keeled. Bryce Harper has a big second half. We saw kind of a preview of that the other night. He ends up with 28 homers and 93 RBI. And if you're one of those who are following Kyle Schwarber's home runs to see where he ends up, kind of cools off a little bit in the second half, ends up with 38 home runs. But Castro hits 262 for the Phillies, 7 homers, gets them 12 stolen bases. But, and I'll get more into that in a minute, does play a big role and a big spark in the postseason for the Phillies. And then Santana becomes the 8th inning, 9th inning guy alongside of Kerkery. Ends up really being a solid piece for the bullpen and really helps during that pennant chase with the Mets. 7 holds, comes out with 2 big saves in September to kind of propel the Phillies over the top. Zach Wheeler, though, AI predicts will finally win the Cy Young. He just remains consistent the way he has been throughout the rest of the season. And it's a very close vote between he and Paul Skeens. But down the stretch, Paul Skeens does not get enough innings or as many innings as Zach Wheeler, and that's what puts Zach over the top. So the big question then, what does that mean for the postseason? Well, by winning the division, the Phillies end up with the second best division record behind the Dodgers once again. The Brewers beat the Mets in the wild card round. Gotta love that. And there's only one reason I'm putting that. It's because the Mets all their fans and all their chirping, but they do lose to the Brewers in the wild card round. Phillies then go out and beat the Brewers 3-1 in the NLDS. Zach Wheeler and Brandon Marsh are the stars of this series. And that brings us to the NLCS against the Dodgers, a familiar postseason foe for the Phillies. And they're just not able to overcome the Dodgers. They fall to the Dodgers 4-2 in the NLCS. And believe it or not, it's not the hitting that lets the Phillies down in the NLCS. The pitching. They just the Dodgers lineup is fully healthy at this time, and the Phillies pitchers just are not able to do it. Both starters and bullpen pieces. But this leads to fans saying, "Okay, this is now the fourth year in a row we've failed to win the World Series, demand big changes." Doesn't really go into what the offseason moves will be, but I likely suspect that a lot of the younger guys get called up and we kind of see the youth movement for the Phillies. But what do you think? What are your trade deadline predictions for the Phillies? AI seems to think it's Dennis Santana from the Pirates and Willie Castro from the Twins, who do get the Phillies over the hump. They win the division for the second straight year, but fall to the Dodgers in the NLCS. And I mean, that's kind of in line with what I had said at the beginning of the season, not being able to overtake the Dodgers, although the Dodgers are not good right now. So who knows? This is one time I hope AI is wrong. But let me know your Phillies trade deadline predictions. Who do you think they're going after? Who's untouchable? Do you trade some of the big pieces? Mick Abel had a great start the other night in AAA. Andrew Painter's been struggling, so that kind of even further complicates things a lot. Maybe Dave Dombrowski finally goes back to his roots and makes a big move. But let me know your thoughts on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Be sure to hit the Discord channel, hit the first link in the description, and let's talk some Phils this weekend. And then finally today, our greatest individual season in Philly sports tournament rolls on. Final matchup in the second round, Monday. We will start the regional semifinals and lots of big matchups there. The Sixers yesterday, Wilt Chamberlain from 1965-66 beat Dr. J from 80-81 with 67% of the vote. It basically came down to a numbers thing. The teams both fared essentially the same. Both players were MVP, but everybody who, shout out to Ken, who said that, listen, they both were MVP seasons, but Wilt's numbers were just that much better than Dr. J's. So Wilt Chamberlain moves on, meaning we have 3 Wilt Chamberlain seasons in the Final Four of the Sixers region, joining Moses Malone from 1982-83. Today, we have an intriguing 4-5 matchup out of the Eagles region, our final second-round matchup there. The number 4 seed, Michael Vick from 2010, takes on the number 5 seed, Carson Wentz from 2017. And Michael Vick, I remember this season very, very well. Took over for Kevin Kolb. This was the first season post Donovan McNabb. Brian Westbrook was gone, so it was a new-look team. And Kevin Kolb got injured the first game of the season. Vick came in, ended up starting 12 of the final 15 games for the Eagles. Threw for 3,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, completed 62.6% of his passes, added another 676 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns, including that big 6-touchdown game against Washington when they just rolled from start to finish over them down in D.C. Vick did win the Comeback Player of the Year, went to the Pro Bowl, finished second in the MVP voting. Eagles won the division, and Mike played solid in the playoffs, that wild card game against the Packers. But we all remember that. I remember being so pissed off at that game, and not going to go on a long rant. I'll save that for later in the season. But that's when our Pro Bowl kicker, David Akers, missed 2 very makeable field goals and cost us the game. And he's taken on the number 5 seed Carson Wentz from 2017. We've already talked about him during this tournament. Started 13 games for the Eagles. They were 11-2 in those games. Threw for almost 3,300 yards, 33 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. Completed 60% of his passes. Was named to the Pro Bowl. Finished second in the MVP voting. Would have won had it not been for that ACL injury. and I will go to my grave saying this: the Eagles do not win Super Bowl 52 if it was not for the play of Carson Wentz the first 3/4 of that season. We can say whatever we want at a later time about post 2017 Carson Wentz, but the Eagles don't win that Super Bowl without Carson Wentz. So now it's your turn. Whose season was better? Mike Vick in 2010, Carson Wentz in 2017. If I had to go with anybody, I would have to go Mike Vick. That was just a magical year. That was the game up in the Meadowlands, the game against Washington. It was just a fun season to be an Eagles fans. But it's your turn. Whose season was better? Hit me up on the Discord, any of my social media, Jimbo_Mott on Twitter and TikTok, on Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can leave a comment there as well. Back to the Future voice and text line. It's all fair game, but whose season was better? As I mentioned, don't forget to like, subscribe on all the social media, follow me, leave a comment, leave a review on Spotify, Apple Music, anything. All of those things help us out with the algorithm. As I've been mentioning, we've been doing a lot of sort of rebranding, remodeling this summer. So stay tuned for that. Going to get a different backdrop look here. Now they have the new camera. You can see so much of my junk here in my office for work as well. But be sure to subscribe, leave a review. All that stuff helps. And while you're at it, go to lotwin.com. Get your 3D custom hype chain. Fantasy football season is right around the corner. These things are perfect for all of your winning and loser needs. If you're still in travel sports season or swimming or any of the summer sports, these things make great things for the kids. Get them hype about things. Get your own custom one for just getting ready and geared up for football season if you want. Go to lotwin.com. Use the promo code TCCPOD to take 10% off of your order. And I forgot to mention, if you go to Beach Caddy, 15% off with that code Jimbo. All right. So we spent Fridays with AI. Let me know what you think of their prediction for the rest of the season and what the Phillies will do at the trade deadline. On this day in 2005, Bobby Abreu won the home run derby in record-setting fashion, dominating Pudge Rodriguez and the rest of the field, winning by 21 homers. In 1995, Heathcliff Slocumb got credited with the win for the All-Star game as the National League beat the American League 3-2. Dick Allen hit a home run in 1967, helping the National League to a 2-1 win in 15 innings. And in 1944, Ken Raffensberger was the first Philly to ever get credited with a win in the All-Star game. That's our trivia question. Who's the other player to be credited with a win in the All-Star game? You have Ken Raffensberger, Heathcliff Slocumb, and this guy. All right. We'll be back on Monday to rewind the weekend, let you know everything we missed over the course of the weekend. Hopefully the Phils can take 2 out of 3. Hopefully VJ Edgecomb's thumb is okay. Told you it was a big show. It's supposed to be a decent weekend, going to be warm, but I didn't see too much rain in the forecast. There's a chance of showers tomorrow. So go out and enjoy. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for July 11th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a feel-good Friday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.